Björn, we've gotten pretty much midway, and now I want to touch on the segment that we always have in the podcast, which is called Show Me Your Content. And we asked you to bring a piece of content that is either professionally or privately or maybe a mix close to you. And dear listener, viewer, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will see the piece of content that Björn decided to bring. It is a video, but I will show the video and then we will be right back.
Yes, good boy, you're a good boy. Hey there, it's Björn from Pleo. And as you can see, I'm in dire need of a haircut, but unfortunately our hairdressers here in Copenhagen are closed at this time. And I've got a little guest right here. Let me introduce you to little Enzo. And if he's a good boy, and if you're lucky enough, we might see him grow throughout these newsletters. Anyway, let's get to our news. First up is our new World of Work series. It's a video series that goes a little bit deeper into how our customers use Pleo. And first up is Ninjas in Pyjamas, my personal favorite, a Swedish esports team that absolutely loves Pleo. I'll see you next month for even more exciting news. See ya! Okay, he might need to pee.
Björn, we just watched the video, and just like you mentioned in the intro, the little fluff ball, Enzo.
Yes.
Why did you decide to bring this piece of content? What does it mean to you? And tell me a little bit about this video.
So we got Enzo at 8 weeks old. I think it was around the 20th of January, and I think this was recorded around the 25th. So he was really the cutest little pup, naughty little pup at that point. No, the reason I shared it is because, you know, as any dog person and any dog owner, I mean, it was just such a fun memory to bring him to the office that day and start recording. And it fit quite well because I was doing some newsletters, but it was a video newsletter. I was introducing the features we would have launched that month, which is exciting in itself. But I wanted something a bit more personal, something a bit more me than just standing there introducing the features. And Enzo came in right in a good time there to make then the 2021 I think videos. Newsletters a little bit more interesting for everybody.
For sure.
And they certainly did. I mean, ultimately, a dog attracts eyes as well. That wasn't really the purpose, but it was also like this is the selfish side of it, maybe. But it's also to share with my network and my friends about what's happening in my life. And
for sure.
My friends in France that I meet once a year, they know who Enzo is through those videos. You know who Enzo is through those videos. So there's something special about those videos ultimately. And they stay with me despite, compared to maybe the other videos that are not as close to my heart, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, I will still maybe look back at them as really fun memories.
For sure. And do you see that, because you say personal, and now like personal videos, like gives it an extra dimension, right? Because do you see your use of, you're very active and good at using video, obviously on LinkedIn, and do you see that mix of like mixing in some personal glitter on those, but still keeping it, because I think people could agree when they see this video, it's still like it has a message, it's still professional, but it still has that like, okay, so now we know Björn a little better. Do you see that? Like, is that something you think about when you create content for LinkedIn, for example?
Think about is maybe pushing it. I don't think about it, but I just want to come as myself, right? Okay. When I do my content, because I think it's hard to fake who you are and to be someone you're not really.
For sure.
And I also relate a lot more with people that are themselves in video than someone who's reading off a script that he's been told by his CEO to read. It's not very interesting when it's like that.
No.
So I want to bring in some life, because I see the effect of that is much greater than if I do something scripted and boring, right?
Yeah, and just like you said, maybe also important. Just like you said, like you connect with that kind of content, yourself as well. So it's not like to sound like speculative or anything. I know that you're not making content because of that. It needs to be informative, and then, but it's. I sense that myself as well. I also see some posts doing better than others. Some people commenting, engaging more, and even though you wanted to persuade some newsletter stuff or some informative stuff, like it's also nice to just see that people love your dog as an example, right? And
exactly.
People also come because I mean, whether people come for the informative stuff or the cutesy fluff ball or whatever, it's just nice because then people like also buy into you, who you are, and people show that, hey, Björn, you're cool.
No, but definitely. And I mean, ultimately you need to relate to people, and
sure.
People need to understand who you are, and just genuinely enjoy what you're doing. Ultimately, it's a little bit of entertainment as well, right?
Yep.
Bringing in my dog has an entertainment value. Yeah. But it's like there's a lot of people who put funny things in their slides in a professional setting. Yeah. So the CRO of Junie is a huge Marvel fan, and he will have a Marvel reference on nearly all of his slides. As a nerd, I love that, right? And I love that he does that, because I would not have the same relationship with that person if he didn't show that side of him, right? And I think just from a personal perspective, it just makes my relationship better when I'm genuine in my content, just like in real life, just as in a work meeting, right?
For sure.
It shouldn't be any different with content, right?
For sure. So if you got a new boss that was more into DC than Marvel, you're off to a bad start.
No, I don't have any animosity. What I can say, though, is I'm quite passionate about people with passions. It's a weird thing, but it excites me when people are passionate about something, whether it's flying a plane. One of my colleagues and someone I'm starting a company with now on the side, he's jumpsuits, like he jumps from planes. I think that's so cool, and he's really nerdy about it. And all these different nerdy things, I love it. So if you come with something you're passionate about, whether it's horses or planes, I'm interested in that.
I agree, and I really like that you use nerdy and nerd in like a positive way, because I completely see it the same way. I don't necessarily connect to someone who loves horses, but when I can feel the passion, like we share the same passion for something. I nerd out on cameras and gear. You nerd out on this, but when you feel that people have that same, like you can see them light up, it's like you kind of get sucked in, whether it be stamps or horses, right?
It's and there's something magical about just accepting also what your passions are. For
sure.
Because there is a social pressure, and going out nightclub, like a lot of people are doing stuff that they don't genuinely like just because it's what society does, right?
For sure.
But I love it when people show the world what they love and like, and
especially when they don't give a shit if people like it or not. It's just like
that's
go
just being yourself ultimately, right?
And
and I like that about again people I meet, but also the content I would see on social media. And sometimes it is very impersonal, and it might be super interesting, but if I don't connect with the person in any way, I might just switch off just on
You're off. You're already swiping, right?
On the contrary, I might listen to some people talk about some stuff I have no need for in my life, just because they're nice and interesting people.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I get it. Björn, you were briefly, and you also showed Enzo in your video, and I know for a fact that in Pleo you guys worked and made a whole, which was, when I watched that, I was like, fucking masterpiece. You made like a full-on video at some point with all the dogs being the employees. I would like for you to take us through what went in. Not that you created that, but you were on board and you were in the Pleo team when you made this. What went into that like process, and why did you make a video that was just like, the CEO needs to be a dog?
Yes, no, it's a fantastic video, and I mean, I wasn't product marketing manager at that point, sadly, because I would have loved to launch that. I think the ground idea came from Luke, our brand dad, as we called him in Pleo back then. But I reserve to be wrong there in case it wasn't him. But it was quite natural because we had a feature that would automatically go and retrieve your receipts from your inbox to attach them to the correct receipt. And some competitors had launched features that were a little bit in the space that were called Collect or Gmail integration, things like that. And it wasn't, let's just say that wasn't very exciting names for how exciting this feature actually was, because it's actually a deal breaker, right?
And now I remember what it was. It was called Fetch, right?
Yes, there you go. So I would imagine this happened during a creative session in the brand team, that they would, have a naming convention like we always do, and just settle on Fetch. Yeah. And from Fetch, it was only natural that we came up with the dog idea, and the fact that then the dog fetches his toys just like Pleo in that case fetches the receipts from Gmail. I was lucky to launch a similar feature now in Juni where I could have a bit more my stamp, but unfortunately we couldn't use Fetch because that was already, it would have been a bit boring to copy paste that. But it was a fantastic video where people really also could relate to the Pleo brand all of a sudden, and really see us as a creative and cool company, right?
For sure. Within not just like a tech company that does. No,
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, my host mother, so I call her my host mother. I went to Australia for a year to a family, right? So she's my host mom. She has dogs, and she saw that on Facebook or whatever, and just was like super excited about that. Someone in Australia who is not at all the target market of Pleo really got excited by that. And I mean, ultimately, that was probably the funnest, campaign we had at Pleo throughout all the days I was there, at least, and it was real fun to see it come to life. I also think that we had actually before Fetch some cats throughout the app, and that's our head of design, Pete, that would want to. He loves cats, so he wanted to put that a little bit in the design. Like if you had no expenses, it would show a sad cat with no expenses or something like that.
So then you go,
so I think the animal part also came a little bit probably from there, but for sure. But I agree, that was probably the most impactful and the ad that the people remember the most from Pleo now.
And I mean, you've done something right when it just goes somewhat viral, right? It really, at least, I mean, in my LinkedIn feed, it was all over the place. And I think I only really connected with you in Pleo at that point, and it was just everyone shared it. Yeah. And I remember I was like, at that point, I've gotten that and then a few other examples throughout the years as a videographer. And I was like, when I looked at it, I was like, why didn't I come up with that? Like, I want to make something like that because it was just like so well thought out. Like, just like you said, the naming and everything. And I don't know if you did it before, but didn't that also kind of like feed into Pleo then kind of being like a place where people brought their dogs more and more? Like, or did it even start before that?
I think we had it before, but ultimately in the Copenhagen office, I believe there was some people allergic, so we were maybe respecting their allergies a bit and not bringing them in all too much. Yeah. But very welcoming to dogs, and
for sure.
I mean, for me now, that's an important part because I love bringing my dog to work as well. Yeah. So it was definitely impactful in that way as well. So people just get in a better mood when there's dogs around, and why not then put other people outside of the company in a better mood by sharing a dog video as well.
For sure, and it definitely had that impact.